I'm Kelly. Hi, I'm Kelly. Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where I'll be sharing free video tutorials and interesting wire wrapping techniques. So hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments below if there's any techniques you would like me to cover. So check out my Etsy shop if you want to see my written tutorials. And thanks everybody. I shall see you there. Hi, I'm Kelly from Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pendant. I've put a list of everything you'll need in the description below, along with all my usual links. We've got Facebook, Instagram and Etsy, where I sell all my written tutorials, if anyone's interested in having a nosy at those. To make this pendant you'll need 0.8mm wire, which is 20 gauge. And I've got two lengths at 12 inches, which is 30 centimetres, and one length at 14 inches, which is 36 centimetres. You'll need 0.315mm weaving wire, which is 28 gauge, and you'll need about 100 centimetres. I've wound mine onto a bobbin. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. Just wind your wire onto that. Saves it flailing about while you're working. Those are my go-to gauges, by the way. So we've got 20 gauge and 28, and I basically use those for almost everything that I make, because this wire is just strong enough and it's not too tough to work with, and I always buy dead soft. And the weaving wire is nice and thin, but it's not too thin. If your weaving wire is too thick, then you'll find you're wrestling with it and it's really hard to work with. So this for me is an ideal gauge. So we do recommend you try and lug the slightly thinner wire. This is, like as I said, 28 gauge. It is a lot easier to work. So I've got a little stone here today, flat backed, if I can pick it up, flat backed cab, a little cabochon, a teardrop, and mine is, it's about 20mm by 15. I think mine's a little bit smaller than that, but you can use any size for this, so I'm using quite a small one. If you want to use a bigger stone, then obviously add a little bit more length to your wires, though I think I've cut them quite long because I want to be able to add to this design. Once it's finished, you can keep adding to the design if you want to, or you can stop early on if you want to. It's entirely up to you, so you can do whatever you want. If you're using a thicker stone, try and pick it back up again. So my stone's quite thin. If you're using a thicker stone, you might want to start with a few more wires. So I'm starting with 3, start with 4. If your stone's really thick, you can go for 5, but I wouldn't go for more than that. I feel like I'm talking too much in this one already. Right, so tools, we've got pliers, round nose pliers, cutters, nylon pliers. I just like having these handy for like straightening the wires. So if you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry about it, but I do recommend getting yourself some. They're not much and they're nice just to have handy. All of my tools are Tronex. I buy Tronex. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but they last. So when I was buying the cheaper ones, I was having to keep buying them, and I've had these for years. I've probably had these 3 or 4 years and they're still going strong, and I haven't bent them or broke them, and I am quite heavy-handed, so I have really tried them out properly now, so I do recommend Tronex. It's worth getting the little bit more expensive ones because they last. I'm not sponsored by Tronex and I don't put any links anywhere, but if you want to look them up, I've put a list of all the tools I'm using in the description below. So position your thumb centrally on the wires. So cut your wires to the length that I have and find the centre of these, the 20 gauge I'll refer to as base wires. So you've got your base wires. Take the longer wire and put the longer wire on the top. So your longer wire's on the top, and you've put your thumb at the centre point of all 3 wires. And we're going to start weaving just to the left of your thumb there. So we're just going to tie these wires together. So take your weaving wire and we'll wrap 3 times around the bottom wire just to attach. And then we'll wrap once around the bottom 2 wires. Bring your wire up between those 2 wires. Take your wire over the top. And that's how I repeat. So you go back around the bottom 2 wires. Bring your wire up between those 2 and over the top And we're just tying all the wires together, so if you've got a different weave that you want to do, that's fair enough, you can do that. I'm going to do a few more repeats of that. Just need to work out why my lights have gone off. So I've done about 5 repeats of that weave. So we're going to take the top wire and we're just going to push him up out the way for a minute, and we're going to weave just across these bottom 2 wires. So we'll go around 2, then we'll go around 1, and we'll repeat that a couple more times. So next, what we're going to do, because this is unusual to what we'd normally do, because I'm going to add this crazy little bend bit at the top. So bear with me and it will make sense in just a moment. This weave at the bottom here, we're going to bend it. Now we need to bend it to the V in your stone. So it needs to be the same angle as the V in the stone. So we've got a V, and it's hard for me to show you now. Oh, that's it. So this top wire now, which is our slightly longer wire, I'm going to pull it along a little bit because I've just realised the wires at the beginning, they need to all be the same length. So shift your longer wire along a bit, and we'll take that wire now, and you'll see why it just needs to be that little bit longer. So we're going to take this wire and we're going to do just a little loop at the top there. It's a bit fiddly to hold, because everything I make is a bit fiddly to hold. But we're going to put a little loop at the top. Then we're going to do another loop, which is also going to be fiddly to hold. It's awkward to get it so you can see. There we are, so I've got 2 loops. Then we're going to do another loop, a little one. And that's why we needed the extra length in the wire. That's gone a lot tidier than I thought it was going to be. So you may not get it that tidy to start with. I've actually surprised myself. And that needs to sit at the point of the V. And then we can add this wire back into that weave. So level your wires up, straighten it out, and we'll carry on weaving with that wire into the weave. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I took him out, curled him, now I'm going to add him back in. Try and hold your wires together. And we're just going to do the same weave that we did before. So we're going to go around the bottom 2. Bring it up between those 2. And then we go around the top 2. We just need to adjust the position of it so it's where we want it to be. It'll all fall into place in a moment. Once you've done the 2 repeats, it is easier to hold. So we've got another 5 repeats on that side. So this one finished with 3 wraps around the bottom, so I'm going to do that on this side too. So I'm going to wrap around 2. Then I'm going to go 3 wraps around that bottom wire. If you can hear some gentle snoring in the background, that's Gracie as normal. So push it all together to get it all nice and tidy. If you don't want to do this 3-loop thing, you can just do 1 loop. And 1 loop should hold it fine. Put this wire now. And then flatten down that cut end with pliers. I've just finished a new tutorial over on Etsy. This one's a cute little frame pendant and it has 50 pages and over 200 detailed images for you to follow along at your own pace. It's an instant download and it's now available in my Etsy shop. So if you want to have a look, if you get a chance, pop on over and I'll see you there. Bye! Cut the wire from the other side as well and flatten that end down. Now we need to shape the wire around the stone, so make sure your weaves are sat up like that. And we're going to bring the wires around the stone. And then where they cross at the top, we need to make sure that they're not crossing over each other on the sides. Where they cross at the top, we want quite a nice large gap at the top there. And then we just need to gently bend those wires so they're all next to each other. When you're happy with the shape, we'll attach it at the top. So take your stone out for now and hold in the top there. Take your weaving wire. I'm going to wrap around the back wire here. Now I'm just going to adjust my wires a little bit so I can see what's what. Just pulling the forward one forward a little bit. So I'm wrapping around the back wire and I'll wrap around 3 times to attach. Slide it down to just below where all the wires are going to meet. Bring them together. Now this is where you don't really want the wires to cross over. Keep repeating myself today. So then we're going to wrap around the whole thing. We're going to go around about, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. Or 7 times. And then take that back wire again. Just noticed I'm talking ever so quietly, sorry. Take that back wire again and we're going to wrap a few times around that back wire to hold it all in place. So take the tail end from the beginning. We're going to cut that wire and flatten that down with your pliers. Before we let go of that, let's just have a look at the top wires and we'll fan them out a little bit. So if you have your front wires in the middle and those wires coming out, just so we kind of fan them out a bit. So reposition your stone and we'll secure that next. So turn it over. I'm going to try and keep the stone as close to the bottom as you can. And I'm just going to give the wires a little squeeze at the top there. Kind of holding the stone down the best I can. So now we're just going to bring these back wires over the stone to like hold it in place from the back. So looking at the back, take the back wire and we're going to pull it over the stone. I'm making a gap there just so I can get in with my pliers. Hold on, weaving wires wrapping around me. So we're going to take this back wire and I'm getting my pliers in. You want to wriggle right the way down to the bottom there. The stone does keep moving about. It'll all be a lot easier to hold in a moment. So I'm going to turn this stone. We're going to bend this wire. And it's best to try and just do it in one go, because if you go back and keep correcting it, you tend to mark your wire. So we're going to bend it, and we're going to do it in one big go. So we do one big bend like that. And as you bend it, hold the top, like I did there at the top, so it holds the wire out to the side at the top. So the wires are still together here. So hold the top, bend the bottom in, and then just give it a little press against the stone. And then we'll do this side. This will just stop it falling out the back. You're going to grab your wire on this side, wriggle down to the bottom, and then when you grabbed it, one big bend, we're going to pull it straight over the back. So make sure you've got a good hold grip of it. One big twist, and as you twist, try and twist it the same amount. So have a look at the other one. Is it the same amount? When you're happy, let go. You've held the top, so the top should be in place. Press it against the stone. Any adjustments you need to do now, you can do with your fingers, and then you won't mark your wire. So I'm going to bend my wire out a little bit there. Make sure the wires are together at the top. Look at the shape of the wires. Are they the same as each other? If it needs to come in a little bit more, try and use your fingers. So if you keep going at it with your pliers, you'll mark your wires. That's Gracie snoring her head off. So now we're going to do the front. Do feel like I'm talking too much in this one. Just squeezing the wire around the stone a little bit to start with. So it's got a nice grip to the stone at the bottom. So same process as the back. So it's always best to do the back first. And it kind of gives you a feel for what you're going to do. So you can get the front a little bit tidier. So we've got a little gap on the sides. Grip the wire. Wriggle right down to the bottom. And then we're going to bend it in one go. So grip your wire and then give it a twist. We don't need to twist as much as we did for the back. But we want a nice twist on there to hold it in place. And then grab this one. Wiggle down as far as you can. Give that a twist. Try and match it up to the other side. And then have a look at it. Adjust your wires. Push the wires against the stone. Squeeze the wires around the stone. So have a look at your wires. Have a look at the position of the wires. Have a look at the placement of the middle one. Does it need moving over? Look at the back wire. And just have a little go over it and have a look. Make sure the wires are all where you want them to be. Pull the stone down the best you can. Give the wires a little squeeze at the top there to hold the stone down. My wraps have wriggled up. Told you I was heavy-handed. So fan your wires out at the top like we did before. So I moved all mine, putting the stone in. So your front two or your middle two, and then just fan the others out. So these are my back wires. And have a look at that little shape at the bottom there. Make sure that it's nice and flat. If you don't have nylon pliers, you can use your normal pliers. Just be careful because you may mark the wire. Trying to talk over the volume of our Gracie. Yes, I know you're there. So then we can move on to the next bit. So now we're going to take the middle two wires, which are your front wires, and we're going to bend them to the back a little bit. I'm actually going to bend these out to the sides, so just so I can get a better handle on those two wires. And I'm going to show you side on. I'm going to scoop these wires over to the front. If you've got bail pliers, feel free to use them. And then when it comes to the front there, I'm just going to lean on them, bending them out a little. So those two wires have come forward into a loop. So now we take this weaving wire from the back, and we're going to take it around those two wires, trying to get it nice and straight. You know how fussy I am. So we're just going to go, which way was my wraps before? We're just going to go round a couple of times. So we're holding it together. Then bring your wire to the front, and we need to wrap around one of these wires. So come up between them and wrap around one of those wires just to get your weaving wire in place at the front there. Wires on the right, we'll do these first. So I've bent them down at the base. Taking this next one in line, and I'm going to scoop it around. You've probably seen me do this a lot. To get a smooth bend, I rub all the back of the wire to get it to go round evenly. When I've got the shape I want, I tend to lean on it to bring it around to shape the rest of it. Got a nice big loop there, like that. Then I'm going to take the next one and I'm going to do a smaller loop. So I'm going to bring that one around. This is just what I do, by the way. You can do whatever you want. You're just making a smaller loop next to that one. Never ends up how I first draw it. It always ends up looking a little bit differently to my plans. So then we're going to do that with the other side as well. So we're going to bend these down, and we're going to take the top, the next one, and we're going to scoop that around. We're going to scoop it around the same. We're going to try and match the other side. Try and match the size of it, so they're the same kind of height. Do you know what I mean? That weaving wire is really getting on my nerves, and I got all tools in the way. So we're just trying to match up that with that one there. It'll make sense in a moment, I promise. And then this one is going to be a smaller one, so we've got 4 loops. I'll try and match that up with the smaller one on the other side. I'll need to untie myself. And I'm just going to give them a bit of a squeeze. Now I'm going to just adjust them so that my wires aren't crossing over each other too much, and those 2 middle ones keep moving off the camera, don't I? So those 2 middle ones have got to stay in the middle, and the outer loops are to the sides of it. So when you're happy with the shape of your wires, just try to match up the loops on the sides, and I've brought them all down together, so you've got the middle 2 from the top loop in the middle still, and these are on the sides. You're going to take your weaving wire and you want to bring that up on this side here, so we're between the 2 wires here. If you're holding it to the side like this, so these left 2 wires are now my bottom 2 wires. I'm just going to wrap around a few just to kind of hold it together. So I'm going around the, so I've gone over the 3rd wire. If we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm not counting those middle 2 at the minute, I'm leaving those at the back. So I'm going over that there, and I'll go around that again, come up between the middle 2, so I'm still not including those original middle 2 because they're at the back. I'm just looking at 4 wires. I'm just going to go around the top 2 to hold that in place a couple of times, and then I'll come up between, I'll come up underneath at the bottom here, and I'll go around these bottom 2 just to try and hold it in place a bit better. So I'm going to go over the 3rd one, around to the back, and I'm going to secure it off on one of those middle wires, so that's out the way. Totally gone off the screen again, not doing very well today, am I? So wrapped around one of them back middle wires, just so it's out the way. So just going across the 4 wires, gone around the middle 2, around the top 2, around the bottom 2, then around the middle 2, and I've attached it to one of the back wires so that my wire's hidden out the way. Keep it nice and tidy, and then I'm going to cut that there. So now we're going to hold it this way up. I'm going to take this outer wire, I'm going to scoop it out to the right. Take the far outer wire on the other side, you're going to scoop that out as well. And then we're going to take the next one, I'm going to scoop it out further up. And take the next one, scoop that out further up, so that goes across the stone a little bit. So focusing on this wire here and this wire here, those are the ones we're going to place first. and I want it to come just across the bottom of the stone there. Then I'm going to hold it there. I'm going to take the wire across to the back. I'm going to check the other one. I want the other one to go around as well. I want it to go around at the same height. And then when you're happy with the placement of those, holding the front, we're just going to bend those wires across the back. And now we're going to take this top one and we're going to bring it, keeping that nice bend we put in it earlier, over the stone. We're going to scoop that out just next to it and then take that wire over so it sits there. Take this wire and do the same. So we're going to keep that scoop and we're going to bring it over the wire like that. Shape it up so it matches the other one. This will start looking a lot tidier once we've cut off some wires. So you want that one to go off the same to the side and around the back. So keep messing about with that until you're happy with the shape. We're totally ignoring these middle wires. We'll do those in a moment. So these two pinch over those two. You want to get them roughly the same height on both sides. Got a little bit of a tulip look going on. So then we need to finish off these wires across the back here. So we're going to cut these wires and we're going to wrap them around this back wire here, the wire that goes across the back of the stone. So get your pliers in there and make a little bit of a gap, just so we can wrap the wire around that back wire there. This has ended up a lot more complex than I first thought. It was going to be some little simple earrings, and then I thought about doing it upside down and turning it into a pendant. I thought I'll give you that one first, and then I'll give you the earrings ones. The earring version next. It's a lot simpler, the earring one is. It's quite different as well. So we're going to wrap these wires around this back wire. So make sure you've got the shape right on the front, how you want it to be. And then hold the wires against the stone so they're not going to move. They're going to move a little bit. You're trying to stop them from moving much. So I'm going to put them around there a little bit. And I'm going to keep checking the shape. And then I'm going to do this wire. And then I'll do the other wires, and you just need to hold it, wiggle it around a little bit, check the shape, wiggle it around a bit more, check the shape, so you get under there. So we're slowly securing these side wires in place. So when you're wrapping them around the back, when you're happy with the wires and you've got it around, stop using your round nose and change to your normal pliers, and then squeeze it around in place so you're not pulling it. So once you've got it in the position you want and it's gone around a couple of times, squeeze it in place rather than pull it into place, because it keeps pulling the wires over. So when you've done that, we've got 2 wires left. I need to make sure you haven't got any sharp bits sticking out as well. I'm going to take these 2 wires, we're going to bring them to the front a little bit. And we're going to scoop them. We're going to scoop them sort of around and over. and try and keep them the same height, match them up to each other. So I'm going to add a little bead in there. So I've bent the wires sort of in and down. And I'm going to add a little bead in there. So I've got a short piece of weaving wire. It's about, I think you only need about 6 inches. And I've got a little 3mm bead. So I'm going to wrap around the one side. That's Gracie making loads of noise. She's so clingy. I'm going to wrap around the one side. Slide it down to here. And I'm going to pop my bead onto that weaving wire. To get the wraps in the same place as this side, I'm going to post it through the middle there, so it kind of looks a bit even. And I shall wrap around 3 times on that side to hold the bead in. And then I'm going to cut that weaving wire at both ends and flatten down the little cut ends. I've just noticed I've got just a little sharp bit where I've put a mark on the wire. It's got a sharp edge. So I'm using like a nail buffer. It's got like a slightly rough bit and the smooth bit. And I'm just rubbing across that wire there just to lose that sharp bit. Sometimes I use a glass nail file if it's like quite a bit. Oh, I know you're there, Grace. I can see you. Then I go over it with the smooth side. So then I'm going to take these wires to the back, and if you just bend them, it pulls the middles open. So we need to hold the middle in place and then take the wire over to the back on both sides. And then I'm going to take these wires, still holding the front, I'm going to take them around those side wires so they come back through to the middle there. So holding the front in place, taking the wire around the side, back up through the front. I'm going to do with this side as well. So holding that there, and take the wire around. I'm going to post it through so it comes through the front there, and then I'm going to pull it all the way through. So take your time with the shaping and just have a look. Is the wire sitting how I want it to? Has my bead moved? Have my weaves moved a little bit? Do I want to adjust the top? Just straightening those wires a little bit. Try not to pull on them too much in case it misshapes it. So now we've got these 2 wires left. I'm going to bring the wires down over the stone. And scoop it out to the side. I'm going to do that for the other one as well. So that's the shape I'm after. So then holding the wires at the front, we're going to bend those around the sides and across the back. And then I'm going to attach those wires to that back wire on each side, the same as we did before. So I'm going to cut them and wrap them around the back wires. So as before, wrap them around a little and then check the shaping at the front and make sure the gaps are right. And then squeeze them around into place with the pliers. Don't pull them around anymore, you've got to squeeze them. So if you look at the top here, with those two wires, I'm just going to separate those a little. I think they look nice with the gap in between. And I'm going to just tip the one out to the right and the other one out to the left. So it just completes that shape at the top there. And I'm going to pop the cord through the top two loops and that will hold it. Also, you can turn it upside down and you can put a jump ring through the top there and have it this way, which was my original plan, was to do an upside down one. So feel free to do whatever you like. There's lots of options with this one. You can finish off the wires any which way you want to, whatever feels right at the time. I'm going to run and oxidise mine, I'll show you when it's done. So we've added a few beads on the bottom. I curled the wire, popped the bead on, and then did a really tight little curl on the end. Done a bit of a bar in the middle to make it a little bit longer. And I think it looks quite cute, so I'm definitely having it this way up. So there we have it, finished. I've oxidised mine. If you'd like to oxidise yours, I did a video on oxidising and aftercare. I did one recently. I'll put a link in the description below. So it totally went completely not as planned, but I do love how it turned out. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope I didn't confuse you too much, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now. Bye. So if you want to support me, head on over to Etsy and treat yourself to a written tutorial or two. I'm currently running a sale, so that's 15% off. So look after yourselves and I will see you all soon. Bye for now. Bye.